Hi, my name is Tim Meunier, and I'm the Director of Music Ministries here at the First United Methodist Church of Jackson, Michigan, and this is Food for Thought for Friday, August 21st. One of the standing jokes in Chancellor Choir has always been about me and my terrible sense of direction. I laugh right along with them, haha, but it's always been a source of great frustration to me. And in many ways, it has made my world a bit smaller than it otherwise would have been. When I moved to Michigan, I was moving into Lori's hometown. I never needed to learn my way around town because I always had her telling me where to go and how to get there. She was my very own GPS. This insecurity with directions has kept me from being too adventurous. Don't stray too far, you might get lost. One of the worst feelings for me is to get lost. It's not just driving. No. I can easily get lost in an airport. Heck, I've even once gotten lost in Elder Beerman's store at the Westwood Mall. I couldn't find my way out of the store and back into the mall. Obviously, I eventually found my way out, but I certainly wasn't going to ask anyone how to get out of the store. That would have been like rubbing salt into my wound. There's always been a joke about how men don't ask for directions. Well, over the years, I've lost any sense of male pride, and my new motto is, you can ask for directions now, or you can walk forever. Your choice. I do hate asking for directions simply because of how they're given to me. People never say, turn right at the house with the white picket fence, then go 2 lights, turn left at the blue house with the white dogwood tree in the front yard. I'd have no problems with those kind of directions. Instead, they say, turn west onto North Street, drive 2 miles, and then turn northeast onto Forever Lane. At the speed limit, it's almost impossible sometimes to read or even find street names, and saying west or northeast tells me nothing. Spin me around in an intersection and then ask me to tell you where north is. It's not going to happen. A good friend of mine mailed a clipping of an article that she found in the paper. The author of the article is Jim Whitehouse. In the article, he talks about his lack of any sense of direction. I swear, I could have written this article myself, but at least it was good to read that I'm not the only one with this directional impairment. In the article, he noted that he had a childhood friend who could be blindfolded at night, in a fog, in a forest, and spun around 3 times, and he could still tell you which way was north. He writes of another friend who has a photographic memory, not for maps, but rather for landmarks. Turn right in a mile, he'll say, just past a big oak tree next to a stone house where there is a German Shepherd dog in the front yard, and then turn 20 yards. There's a black raspberry bush by the road next to a big rock. Now you see, those are good directions. A few years ago, the Chancellor Choir had planned to sing for worship at former minister Ed Ross's little church in Waterloo. One of my choir members made a handwritten map for everyone to use. In looking at the map, I thought, looks easy enough. Well, apparently it wasn't easy enough for me. I was a half an hour late to the pre-service rehearsal, and to say that I was in a sour mood when I got there would have been an understatement. I once planned a trip to G Farm's nursery. I had been there before and thought that I'd have no problem. Well, that quick trip had me on the road literally for hours. I never thought to use the Google Maps on my phone, which was new to me at the time. It only took me 6 minutes to return home. I now use Google Maps to go everywhere. I like that friendly voice telling me when to turn. We've become great friends, she and I. I call her Goethe. I could give you so many more examples of all the times that I've gotten lost, but I'm choosing to look at all those experiences as an opportunity to grow. Well, isn't that what people are supposed to say so as not to lose face? But mostly, I've learned to use the tools that are available to me. God gives each of us the directions of how to live our lives. Sometimes the road to take is not so clearly marked. God lets us choose the path for our lives. In doing so, He also lets us make mistakes. Throughout our lives, we'll have many opportunities to take the wrong turn, to veer from the path. Getting lost is just an opportunity to find your way home again. Sometimes we veer so far off the path that finding our way back requires some help. People to give us directions and support along the way. There have been many times in my life I've tried to be adventurous and more independent. Many of those times, to be honest, have really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I've certainly have taken some wrong turns in my life, but I'm happy to say that even with those detours, I've been able to get back on track. Sometimes with the support of friends, sometimes with prayer. But even when we think that we may have taken a wrong turn, God shows us that it just may lead us to new opportunities on the road less taken. It may extend our journey, but there could be opportunities for new discoveries along the way that we would not have known if we had stayed on the safe road. Several years ago, I had what I hope won't be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was a trip to France. I certainly didn't go alone. If I had, I doubt that anyone would ever see me again. I'd be still wandering the streets of Paris, which now that I think of it probably doesn't sound too bad. It was a great trip and a wonderful opportunity to speak French. One day, my travel companions and I took the red bus, le bus rouge, into the heart of Paris. With our bus ticket, we would have been able to use it also for the return trip back to our rented apartment. So we got daring, which probably, knowing me, wasn't too smart. And once we got to the Eiffel Tower later that afternoon, we parted company. After my friends departed, I got in line to go up to the tower. Well, my first mistake was that I was standing in the wrong line. This was the line that only got you up so far. So I moved to the correct line that got you all the way up to the top of the tower. I stood in line for over 2 hours. I was exhausted. I finally got into the cage that transported us up to the observation deck. The one thing I've discovered that the older I get, the more that I'm bothered by height. Even watching those nature shows where the drone is flying around the Grand Canyon are cringe-worthy moments to look away. So going up to the observation deck of the Eiffel Tower was rather unnerving. I couldn't look out on the ride up. Once we got to the top, I couldn't go to the railing and kind of hug the inside walls. To say that this trip up the Eiffel Tower was everything that I hoped it would be would have been a lie. But I had to do it to complete the experience. When I was ready to go down, I didn't want to be crammed back into the cage for the descent, so I took the stairs. It was a long way down, but I figured I had gravity on my side, so I made my way down. To say that I was exhausted by the time I got down would have been an understatement. It was now after 8 p.m., and I was certainly ready to find the red bus to get back to the apartment. Only problem was, I couldn't find the red bus. I certainly got to use my French that night. I asked everyone that I could think of, "Où est le bus rouge?" And it was like no one ever heard of the red bus. I knew that I was in trouble when the lights of the Eiffel Tower came on close to 9:30. I had no cell phone, so I couldn't contact my companions. I was stuck in the middle of Paris. So I did another first. I hailed a taxi. The French word for lost is perdu. So luckily, I had a map to the apartment, and I stuck my head into the taxi's passenger side window and said, "Je suis très perdu." I'm very lost. and I showed him on the map where my apartment was. Well, that was the best 17 euros that I'd ever spent. I got back to the apartment by 10 p.m., only to be told by my friends that after we had parted ways, they had discovered that the red bus stopped service at 8 p.m. It was certainly not the experience I had hoped for, but it sure made for a memorable one. I guess that it shows me that if I can get lost and stranded in Paris and still find my way back home, then anything else can be conquered. There's a hymn that we've sung many times. I must admit that sometimes even I'll sing a well-known hymn and forget to give thought to the text and its meaning. When I think of my directional challenges and my insecurities, the one hymn that comes to mind is "Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah." What a great theme song for my life. I've certainly been guided many times in my life. I may have taken some wrong turns along the way, but I've always been led safely home. It's the third verse of this hymn that speaks to me the most. When I tread the verge of Jordan, bid my anxious fears subside. Death of death and hell's destruction, land me safe on Canaan's side. Songs of praises I will ever give to thee. I will ever give to thee. So if on your life's journey you find that you've taken a wrong turn and you're feeling lost or perdu, don't fear. Just follow the directions and accept the guidance that God offers you. I hope that you have a great weekend. Maybe your journey this weekend will lead you to our stream worship service on Sunday. We'll be there waiting for you.